Massive Jays trade is incoming following a brand new report that has dropped surrounding the Jays and the Pittsburgh Pirates. And as the trade deadline is less than 2 weeks away and the Jays continue to roll, a brand new report has dropped revealing a huge Jays trade update. We're going to break down exactly what that report is, discuss what it means going forward as it has some fans fired up. We're also going to dive into a few other updates ahead of tonight's game against the Yankees in game 2 of the series. But before we get into it all, if you're a part of the percentage or aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Jays content. You guys have been absolute beasts with the support, so thank you guys for that. And of course, hopefully Jays can continue rolling tonight. But a brand new report has dropped early this afternoon that I had to make a video on, have to dive into here, and it is surrounding somebody that I've covered on the channel a couple times now, and that is Mitch Keller, as a new report from a Pittsburgh Pirates reporter this time has dropped, revealing some insight not only on the Pirates but on the Jays as well. And you can see this here, all of the above, and basically he was just talking about the trade deadline upcoming. Earlier this month, the Post-Gazette reported the Cubs and Mets were two early contenders for Keller's services, but last week they have now added the Jays into that. A fourth team has surfaced, currently sitting atop of the American League East thanks to a recent surge. The Jays are in need of starting pitching, and with few enticing options awaiting them in their farm system, Keller could be an addition that helps Toronto compete both now and down the road, which is very, very interesting. And he kind of dives into some more details on the Jays here, and he sees the Jays as a pretty viable suitor. Timing could also play a factor in the Jays' pursuit and desire of Keller. We know that Mark Shapiro is in the final year of his contract. I've mentioned that in the videos a ton. Ross Atkins, all these different things. Now, he does clarify, though. This isn't to say that Toronto is the front runner for Keller, as the Mets and Yankees are also interested, but multiple sources believe that Keller will have a new team by the end of the month. So this is very notable information, and it's from a very reliable Pittsburgh Pirates reporter this time. And essentially, the Jays are very much involved in the Mitch Keller sweepstakes. Now, are they the favorites? Not necessarily. It's between seemingly Toronto, the Cubs, the Cubs, the Mets, and the Yankees. The two New York teams, the Cubs and the Blue Jays. And obviously, for the Jays, we've discussed this on the channel a few times, and we'll dive into it again here. Mitch Keller is an interesting fit. And obviously, the most interesting part about it is he's not necessarily an ace, but he's a guy with control, and he's a guy that is a very unique player in the sense that he wouldn't, I don't put the Toronto Blue Jays over the top, and that's kind of been the sentiment even when we think back to Jeff Passan a couple weeks ago said that the Jays and Mitch Keller, like that's his number one, prediction for him. You can see here from Joshua, Keller still doesn't make sense to me, especially if there are lots of teams trying to get him, because you would have to pay a lot for a guy like Mitch Keller. It's as simple as that, simply because he's fairly young, 29 years old. He has control left on his contract, and most importantly, the starting pitching market at the trade deadline is very, very bleak. There's not a lot of teams that are trading starting pitching. So if you're a team that is clearly in need of starting pitching, like the Toronto Blue Jays, and everyone knows the Toronto Blue Jays want a starting pitcher, it would cost a lot for Mitch Keller. And we'll dive into what a trade would look like in a minute and all these different things. But that's a big deal here, is the fact that the Jays are still in on Mitch Keller, because we know they're trying to get a starter. There's no real aces going to be available, and I'd almost rather the Toronto Blue Jays at this point go all in for relievers. And we know how important, Joe Siddall was talking about it yesterday with Dan, we know how important bullpens are in the playoffs. Think back to the 2015 Kansas City Royals, but really any team has an elite bullpen that goes in the playoffs because you only need your starter to go a few innings. And you can see here another new report dropped from Shai-Ben Nicholson-Smith, kind of highlighting what Chris Bassett and the team is feeling ahead of the trade deadline. They went on to say, at the trade deadline, it's just very important to add high character guys. A lot of the time, your character can basically supersede your talent, so to speak. Like if you're not really bringing in positive mentality or work ethic, or you're bringing off-field issues, I don't really want you. I don't care how good you are. So this sheds some interesting light into what the team could be, acquiring. And obviously, Mitch Keller, by all accounts, is a very good teammate and things like that. But it makes things a little bit more interesting. And looking at Mitch Keller's stats this year, since I made the last video, he's gotten a lot better. In 20 starts through 119 innings, he is 3-10, Pirates are terrible, with a 3.48 ERA. And if you're unfamiliar with this game and you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, he's not that good, look at his other stats, some ERAs in the fours, he is basically just a consistent starter. And for a team like the Jays who have a ton of consistent starters, that's where the question mark becomes if this is worth a lot of their valuable assets. Because not only would he start a playoff game? Absolutely. Would he start over Kevin Gausman? Probably not. Would he start over José Berríos? Probably not. Would he start over Chris Bassett? Maybe, right? And that's where the question becomes, is it worth giving up assets for that? Now, you could argue the assets are worth giving up to help push you into a playoff run without wearing down your bullpen. And he has control for the next 2 seasons, which means you're getting a guy under control who can be a part of your rotation going forward, only 29 years old. It's a very unique situation here, especially with the reports that this seemingly is still a very realistic possibility for this Toronto Blue Jays team. Now, I saw an article that dropped that proposed this trade, and I'm curious to see what you guys think about it in the comment section. So, it's Aurelvis Martinez, Joey Loperfido, and Paxton Schultz for Mitch Keller. The deal would see Toronto acquire Keller, who would be a solid number 2 starter for 3 players who could all make the Pirates MLB roster right now. And this one is interesting to me because I think if this is the deal, I would do it in a heartbeat, right? And I'm curious to see what you guys think about it. Yes, Joey Loperfido's off to a fantastic start. I think that I don't know necessarily how sustainable that is, but the Jays have a ton of depth outfielders, and they have a ton of prospects coming up in the system that can replace what Joey Loperfido, I think, can do going forward. But if you have a chance to add a very good MLB starter under control at 29 years old for just Joey Loperfido and Aurelvis Martinez, who technically, according to MLB Pipeline, is still the number 3rd ranked prospect, but really, like, he has had a horrible year. I would do this deal in a heartbeat. You're not giving up any of your aces. You're not like your ace prospects. You're not giving up your Savage. You're not giving up Namala. You're not even giving up, Cal Steven or any of the guys who have really started to, Johnny King, guys who have really started to propel in the system, or Jake Bloss, or even any of those higher upside guys. You're literally giving up Aurelvis, who I'm pretty low on now, and Joey Loperfido, who has shown at the major league level to be, iffy, like a bad year last year, a very solid start this year. Is that sustainable? He could have a full runway, Joey Loperfido that is, on the Pittsburgh Pirates. And in exchange, the Jays are getting an elite, not an elite starting pitcher necessarily, but an elite role player in the starting rotation. And you would have 4 pitchers who you could trust to go in a playoff series. And would he go out and steal you a game? Probably not, but he would keep you in a game. His career ERA of 4.43, a lot of that's inflated by his early years, has really found his home since his All-Star season back in 2023, but really since 2022, and he's having the best season of his career right now. So it's going to be interesting. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on this. I like the deal. If it's this, absolutely, I would do this trade in a heartbeat. But anything more than that, I'm kind of with Joshua here. It would be interesting because he's not an ace, so to speak. So it's going to be interesting there. A few other updates ahead of tonight's game. Let's dive right into it. Of course, Max Scherzer is on the bump today. But since May 28th, I want to talk about the Jays offense. Buster only tweeted here. The Jays lineup has seemingly mirrored what Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is as a hitter. They are first in the MLB in average. They are first in the MLB in on-base percentage. They have the lowest strikeout rate, and they now scored the most runs and have the number 1 WRC plus at 122. So for an offense that last year was horrible and really since 2021 has seen a steady decline, we saw and we are seeing since May 28th, which is the majority of the season, the best offense in baseball. And I know I made a video earlier today on wanting to replace Santander with Eugenio Suarez. I still want that to happen. If you can add another offensive, piece to this team, you're in for a very exciting year. And I just wanted to highlight how good this team truly has been. You look at the home field advantage. They have won 11 straight games at home. A lot of that's in part due to the crowd. The team's playing great. A lot of the players, especially Bo, are a lot better at home than on the road. Same with Vladdy and things like that. And they have a chance tonight to win their 12th straight game at home. And of course, after this series, they're headed on the road for a series against the Tigers, which is going to be very, very difficult. But at the end of the day, the offense is rolling, the team is rolling, and most importantly, the fans are rolling. So that'll wrap it up. Let us know down below what your thoughts are. Thank you guys for watching. You guys are peace. Cheers.